and all you're getting, get understanding. And that's why you're going to have to study planning this year. You're going to have to plan everything you want God to change. Because no one loves change. You pray for it and hate it when it comes. So we got to talk about change a little bit.
Most people want what I call a quick fix.
Because it's inevitable now. It doesn't matter. It's going to happen this year. Everything will change. I was watching the news this week, and they were talking about the new telephone that just came out by a company. And the phone was out for 5 months. And then the news reporter says, but the next version of it has already arrived. Which means in 5 months, your phone you just bought is history. I'll never forget the day I walked in to an appliance electronics store in the United States. I just bought a computer, and something went wrong with I couldn't find the plug. And I tried to go buy the plug. The computer was 10 months old. The guy said, we don't make them anymore. He said, you got to buy a universal plug. I couldn't believe it. But now it's down to 5 months. That's how fast you're going to have to be able to respond to change. If you don't do something this year with your life, you're going to regret it next year. Doing nothing is no longer an option.
And you wonder why you're not being successful. And you're back to the same place that you were. It's faster downhill than it is uphill. It's easier downhill than it is uphill. It's quicker downhill than it is uphill. And so what happens is, we have a lot of good uphill days, but we have a few downhill days, and the few downhill days cancel out all the uphill days.
In other words, here's the bottom line. We must decide the change we desire.
Good intentions is on one side of the water, and good actions is on the other side. And the bridge is self-discipline that takes our good intentions and turns them into good actions.
You will have to decide the change that you want. Change is coming in any event.
Every day, every day.
So you're going to have to decide what that change will be in your life. This is why you cannot sit watching the game anymore.
All of us here have great minds, but we all know how to think. And with our minds, we can rationalize anything. We can make anything happen.
What's the quickest way for me to be very wealthy, highly influential, and very successful in life? Just cut out just give me the just straight, quick, fast, easy way. There's no such thing.
Spectators will be destroyed.
And self-discipline is the vehicle that gets you there.
You're going to have to get involved in your life, in your environment, and what happens in your life. No longer is it going to work this year where you sit down and say, let me see what happens. That's going to destroy you.
Listen to me carefully. There is nothing I can do for an undisciplined person to make them successful.
You're going to have to be responsible for deciding this is what's going to happen in my life.
Makes habit your servant instead of your master.
I promise you, if you sit by and just watch life, life will change your life in a way you're going to regret.
And the moment the pen starts moving, the ideas begin to come. The moment the pen starts moving, you got to move the pen. The ideas don't come to the hand without the pen. It's the motion controlling the emotion, which turns into self-discipline.
I really want to know what's driving you.
Again,
What makes the difference in the quality of people's lives? But when it comes to fulfillment, that's an art. And the reason is it's about appreciation and it's about contribution. You can only feel so much by yourself. So the question we got to ask ourselves really is, what is it?
high morale is uphill climbing. Low morale is in downhill sliding. You get high self-respect if you climb uphill. Low self-respect if you're going downhill. Self-improvement uphill. No improvement downhill. You're purposeful uphill, you're aimless downhill, you're fulfilled uphill, you're empty downhill, you're making a difference uphill, you're not making any difference downhill, you're intentional in your actions uphill, you're got just good intentions on downhill. A lack of self-discipline is a lack of knowing what you want in life. And when you don't know what you want, you won't have any self-discipline power to get there.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't plan, life will plan your life for you.
Self-discipline makes consistency possible. You only become excellent in something because you're consistent with it.
Very important.
Now,
Most of society thinks biography is destiny. The past equals the future. And of course it does if you live there. But what people in this room know, and what we have to remind ourselves though, because you can know something intellectually, you can know what to do and then not use it, not apply it. So really what we got to remind ourselves is decision is the ultimate power, right? The story people tell us is a bunch of different stories. They tell us we don't have the resources. But ultimately, what determines your resources, we've said decisions shape destiny, which is my focus here. If decisions shape destiny, what determines it is 3 decisions. What are you going to focus on? Right now, you have to decide what you're going to focus on. In this second, consciously or unconsciously, the minute you decide to focus on something, you got to give it a meaning.
I put it to you, and this is my heart. When changes that you want to see happen are planned, you control life.
And whatever that meaning is produces emotion. Is this the end or the beginning? Is God punishing me or rewarding me, or is this the roll of the dice? And emotion then creates what we're going to do, or the action. So think about your own life, the decisions that have shaped your destiny. And that sounds really heavy, but in the last 5 or 10 years, 15 years, haven't there been some decisions you've made that if you made a different decision, your life would be completely different? So the bottom line is, maybe it was where to go to work and you met the love of your life there. Maybe it was a career decision. The history of our world is these decisions. When a woman stands up and says, no, I won't go to the back of the bus, she didn't just affect her life. That decision shaped our culture. Or someone standing in front of a tank. Or being in a position like Lance Armstrong and someone says to you, you've got testicular cancer. That's pretty tough for any male, especially if you ride a bike. You got it in your brain, you got it in your lungs. But what was his decision of what to focus on? Different than most people. What did it mean? It wasn't the end, it was the beginning. What am I going to do? He goes off and wins 7 championships he never won once before the cancer, because he got emotional fitness, psychological strength. That's the difference in human beings.
how do you do that?
First, what's your target? What are you after? Once you know what the target that's driving you is, and you uncover it for truth. You don't form it, you uncover it. Then you find out what's your map. What's the belief systems that are telling you how to get those needs?
I wish I had time to develop that for you, because what happens is, unless you and I have a clear picture of what we're looking for, we don't know when we see it. Happens all the time. What's your secret? And what I've discovered is that successful people have always positioned themselves well. When you see a successful person, they're successful because what they have done is they've found their strength zone and they've found their niche, and they stay right in that sweet spot, and they just work that sweet spot. You've never heard anybody be in an interview that was successful that you came up and you interviewed and they said, well, the secret of my success is that I've never discovered what I was good at.